Hi, everyone. My name is Marcy McMahon, and I'm here with my colleague Alicia Mikens to talk about Service Insights. Service Insights is a website. It is a free electronic intake platform hosted by Feeding America that collects basic information from the clients that we serve during the intake process at your food distribution. Feeding America built this website 8 years ago, and so far it's been adopted by 145 Feeding America member food banks out of almost 200 food banks. And it is utilized by thousands of agency partners just like you. So the benefits from the member perspective to using Service Insights, it's easy to use, it's a streamlined process. You no longer have to keep binders or paper copies of your TFAT forms or client information. And it will also allow you to keep a record of your client's needs. You can also track all your services through a single platform, which is fully supported through Foodlink and Feeding America. And with the simple reports and built-in data visualizations, it will be easy to see the direct impacts of your program very quickly.
So what is TFAP? Many pantries are probably already familiar, but if this is something new for your program, TFAP stands for the Emergency Food Assistance Program. And part of that is the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, which is where we get some of our food. And that food has some rules by it that there has to be a TFAP form that's completed for each client. And that's monitored by OGS, which is the New York State Office of General Services. So when we come out to monitor on an annual basis, we mimic what OGS does if they were to choose you for an audit. So this is part of it is getting into compliance with TFAP. So on the forms now, if you do a paper form now, this non-discrimination statement is at the bottom of every single form that's filled out. Many don't have clients look at the forms anymore, so you might have something like this posted and framed, or just along with all of your Foodlink required signage. So that is something you'll want to continue to do, because this statement is built into the form on the Service Insight platform. So just making sure that clients are still able to read this.
So what are the benefits of using Service Insights from the client perspective? To achieve Foodlink's mission of ending hunger, we need to move beyond measuring our impact in pounds and number of food distributions, and we need to begin measuring the outcomes of our work and better those we serve. By implementing Service Insights, Foodlink and our members will have access to new types of impactful data for the first time at the regional and community levels. This client data will guide conversations with community leaders and funders, along with providing insights that can improve programs and services. This information gives us the opportunity to learn who we are serving, who we are not serving, client preferences, and will help us identify communities in need of additional resources. Because we cannot end hunger by simply pushing out more pounds each year, we need to get food into the hands of people who need it most, and data is our most valuable tool to accomplish this mission. It also provides a streamlined client experience where a client can visit any program within the Foodlink network and receive the same experience during intake.
So some of the frequently asked questions we've heard so far, will this have a cost? So no, this is a completely free program, so you do not have to worry about putting in any cost to that. What devices will we be using? So it depends. This is just a website, so you can use any sort of device that has internet access. We will be able to fund some pantries who might not have any equipment to use, but you can use a smartphone, a tablet, a laptop, desktop computer, but we will work with you one-on-one whether or not that's something you'll need assistance getting. Do you need internet access? Yes. You definitely will in one way or another. And again, we can talk through that more one-on-one of what your particular situation is. What if clients do not want to give out their name or any information? So that is definitely something that can happen, and it is totally fine. Everything in here is completely optional. Clients can put themselves in as anonymous, which we will show you once we do that part of the training. Privacy, is Service Insight safe and secure for our clients? Yes. So this is something that is very secure, and you don't have to worry about their information getting out there like that. The only information that gets shared with us is really just the zip code information. It's nothing specific. We do not see names, so you definitely do not have to worry about that. And will this create new barriers for clients? No. So this isn't changing anything that we do. It's just going from paper to electronic, but it's not going to change eligibility or anything like that. So that will not be part of this. Some key terms, certain things are worded a little differently in Service Insights. So I'm just going to go through a couple of them so you're familiar. So one of the things is an event. So an event is when you're going to be serving. That is of the particular day you have your pop-up pantry, or if you're open Mondays and Fridays for your food pantry. An event in the system is how you track when those clients came in. So we'll go through how to create an event. A neighbor, that's basically, what you call your clients, your patrons, whatever you call the clients that come in now, they're referred to as a neighbor in Service Insights. Program location, that's just where you have your distribution. Service, so service is just the type of service that you're providing. So whether you provide food and clothing and baby products, those are the services you provide. And the primary service would be the main thing that you provide. So if you're a food pantry that has additional services, your main service would be your food pantry. And a visit is how we record someone that's come into the pantry or used your program. So they track it by visit. All right, so we are going to log in to Service Insights and walk you through what it looks like.
So this is the welcome page. This is the home page that you will see when you sign in or when you visit the Service Insights login page, because like we said, it is a website. Every pantry will receive 2 logins. You can make more, but just to get started, there will be 2 logins. One is the admin user and one is the intake user. So an admin user is someone that has access to everything for your pantry's account. You can run reports, you can make changes, you can create events, which we'll get into all of that. And an intake user is a login that will just be used for intake, and it can be shared among many people. So you can decide who receives the admin user login and who receives the intake user login. So we're going to sign in under admin. And the next page you'll see is this license agreement. And they're going to want you to put in an email address. And that is just so they know, so you can look back on who logged in and did what. So when you are here at the home page of Service Insights, this is what it will look like. So up at the top under intake, you can see that there is a search bar, And this is how you can look up people if they are coming in for a secondary visit after the initial intake process when a lot of people are presumably already in your system. You can look up by name, phone number if you want to collect that, that's optional. Their date of birth, if you collect that, which is also optional, address, etc. Okay, so while we're in the admin section, I just want to show you this menu bar at the top left. 3 lines. So this is what will look different than the intake user. So here you have reports. That's where you can pull reports. You can manage duplicates, and you can create your event schedules, add new users, etc. So now we'll switch to the intake user. Okay, so you can see this menu bar on the top left. You can't really do much up here. But what we can do is this orange button on the top right, add new household and visit. This will be the main thing that an intake user does. So when someone is visiting the pantry, whether they are a returning client or brand new, this is where we will add their name. Now, clients should be informed that none of this affects their eligibility and they are never going to be forced to give any information that they don't feel comfortable giving. So you can always put in someone as anonymous. You can put in their first name as anonymous and their last name as anonymous. We do need a first and last name though. You can see the asterisks near that. So we can just put in a fake person. I'm going to put in Minnie Mouse. And then it asks for the address. If someone does not feel comfortable providing their address, you can click no fixed address. And then that it will populate with the address of your location now. So it populated with Foodlink's address. Now, if they're okay giving an address, then you'll want to put it in. You can collect email addresses, but it's not necessary. And same with phone number. But you can also click no phone. It's up to your pantry if you want to collect email addresses and phone numbers. Then we get to the household question. Now, this is somewhat of a tricky question because it asks, how many people in your household, not including yourself, will benefit from the services provided today? So this is asking for household size, but minus this first person Minnie Mouse. So you can ask people how many are in your household, and then in your mind, minus that from the total. So you can ask Minnie, how many people are in your household? And she could say 4. And so for here, you'll put 3 because it's 3 household members plus the 4th, which is the person that you're speaking with right there and then. And you don't need to, but if you'd like to, you can collect the first name and the last name of additional household members. It will automatically populate with the same last name as the original person, and it will automatically default to calling them member 1, member 2, member 3. The next question they ask is the proxy question. So this is if somebody is coming to pick up food on behalf of somebody else. So they're not picking up for themselves. And so you can add a proxy, and that would be, the proxy is the person you are speaking to. The client is the person that you're picking up for. So let's say someone was picking up for Minnie Mouse. So Minnie Mouse would still go here, even though you're not speaking to Minnie Mouse. And maybe you are speaking to me. And so I'm the proxy then, if that makes sense. So you can use this in the event of, a lot of people don't pick up for themselves, but they say they're picking up for others. If they're picking up for themselves and others, you will want to collect the information for each family. Sometimes there are people that are coming to pick up for a housing project or a place where a number of senior citizens live that can't easily travel to your pantry. That person picking up would be the proxy, and they would be picking up for another large number, or if they're representing an organization, the first name and last name could represent the organization, not necessarily individual people, because we don't want you sitting there entering in the names of 30 people. That's just not realistic. So those are the different ways we can use proxies in first and last name. But we won't deal with the proxy question now. The next question, SNAP benefits. We don't need to collect that information, but it forces you to answer, so you can click don't know, prefer not to answer. Same with other government programs. We don't really care, so we're gonna hit don't know, prefer not to answer. Even though we don't care, the question still needs to be answered on the website. Same thing with income. We're gonna say don't know. Now, this number is automatically decided by the website because we said we had a household size of 4. And so this is the poverty limit for a family of 4 right now. So it will look different based on the family size. And for program eligibility, everyone is eligible. Now, right now, we are in the midst of the TFAP form slightly changing. So everything that we're showing you here might be a little bit different within the coming months. And we'll work with you one-on-one to figure all that out. It won't be confusing and it won't be all that different. If anything, it will be an improvement. This is what it looks like at the moment, but it might not necessarily stay there. But all of the principles that we're going over are the same. So now once you're done with this page, you're going to hit save and continue. And now here's the TFAP form. And this is what it looks like. And like we said, the benefit of using Service Insights is that you no longer have to keep paper copies of the TFAP form anymore because it's all electronic. And if you're ever audited, you'll be able to easily go into Service Insights and show the auditors where all the signed TFAP forms are on the website. And so all you need to do is hit verbal signature, this orange button, and it will automatically populate with the name of the person. And the website will automatically alert you when 1 year is up and the client needs to sign again. So you don't need to keep track of dates. You don't need to remember anything. The website will just tell you if the person is up for renewal. So Minnie Mouse can come from today all throughout the year, and then on we're recording this on May 21st. On May 21st of next year, the website will just automatically bring you to this page the next time that they come during this time frame, which is really nice. Now, the only thing that we ask is that you have a copy of the TFAT form where you do intake at your registration table, so clients have the ability to read it if they so choose. Then you'll hit save and continue at the bottom. Gender identity, another question we don't care about, but it has to be answered. So we say don't know, prefer not to answer. What we do need is, we do need to know the approximate age of each family member. We don't even need to know the names of each family member. We just need, perhaps the head of the household, whoever's picking up, we just need their name or something to go by. So you can put date of birth or you can put age. You don't need to ask people their age. You can just ask how many in your household are senior citizens, how many are adults, how many are children. If people feel comfortable giving their age, that's totally fine, but we don't want you to feel impolite asking people their age or date of birth. So you can ask where they fall in those categories. So for service insights, a child is anyone under the age of 18. An adult is age 18 to 59, and a senior citizen is 60 and older. So let's say Minnie says that she's a senior citizen. I'm just going to put that she's 70. It doesn't really matter if she's 70 or 85 or 60. We only care the category that they fall into: children, adult, or senior. Race or ethnicity, another question we'll say don't know, prefer not to answer. And then it will go through each family member. So let's say Minnie says, my husband Mickey is also a senior citizen. I put 72. And then they have a grandchild in the home that's 10. And they have another grandchild in the home that's 15. Now, additional notes. This is for you can use this box to track any notes you want to leave about clients, whether that's dietary preferences, dietary restrictions, anything that would be important for someone to know that could help create a better experience for this client. And only your organization will see these notes. So then once you're done, you can hit save and continue. And now on this last page, this is where, if you so choose, you can track different things. So if you're tracking the pounds that each family receives in food or other services, you can put it right here, dollars, etc., and a description. It's not necessary. This would be for your tracking purposes only. Then hit finish and then hit done.
All right, so let's just say Minnie Mouse is coming back a month later to come to your distribution, and we want to look her up, but we know she's in there. So what we're going to do is just ask Minnie what her last name is and put it into the search bar. And now we can see her last name is, and then we'll click the magnifying glass. And then you're going to see anyone with that last name. So it's possible we've put Minnie and Mickey in here a couple times from other trainings, but we want to look for the correct one. So we'll just say this one. This one's correct. That's the address she said she's provided, and she said she's a household size of 4. So just to show you a couple things before we check her in, if you click on the plus button, you can kind of see a little bit more information. You can see the last time she visited. Um, if you did add any notes, this is where you can see the notes here. Also, if there is a proxy on file. So there's just some easy, quick things to check if you want to reference that. But if everything looks good, that's definitely her. We're going to click add visit. And everything we put in the last time is already going to be there. So there really isn't anything you need to do aside from just scroll through the pages. If she says that something has changed, like say they moved and you want to change the address, you can do that. If they happen to have more family members now, you can add those. So there's a lot of different things that you can edit if something has changed, but otherwise you can keep it the same. Also, if you find that maybe some of these questions from originally, like the SNAP benefits, is useful and you might want to ask it later on, you can. We found that some sites that have been using this for a little while that have gotten comfortable and they're zipping through checking people in, and they thought, you know what, it would be really helpful to see which clients are getting SNAP benefits and which ones aren't, so we can see if it's worth us having someone come in and help people sign up for SNAP. This is an opportunity when you get more familiar. But you can always revisit these questions and make adjustments. Like here, if there was an update, you could click update, say yes or no. We'll say no this time. But yeah, so if any of the questions from before, you find that it might be helpful, you can definitely do that. But otherwise, we're just going to say save and continue. And this is already signed because she's already been here. So it'll just show the verbal signature button once it's been a year. So we're just going to say save. And then again, same with here. So ages are already there. We don't need to do anything with that. But if you find that it's helpful for your organization to get more information for grant writing or anything like that, you can always go back and say, like, you know what, it would be nice to know like how many, women we're serving, for example, and that might help us get a particular grant. Maybe we'll start asking that. Same with race and ethnicity, but otherwise you would just scroll down and just everything's there. Save and continue. And that's how it'll be after everyone's in. It'll be very quick and easy. There's really nothing you need to do unless something's changed, or if you guys have decided you might want to ask for something a little bit differently the next time, it's totally up to you. And then as far as like backdating, so say maybe you realize that maybe the internet went down or something like that at your pantry, and you had to start switching to paper just to get people's information to check them in. If you want to make sure when you go back in and try and enter them in after the fact, it gets tracked on that pantry day, you can actually change the date on here. So right now it shows today's date. It'll always show the date you're logging in. But if you know the pantry was open on the 14th of May and you want to make sure, you backdate anyone after the internet went out, you would just select the 14th and it would automatically take you back to that. So you could add people to that particular day. So it's actually showing this is unavailable because we don't have an event set up for that day. Most of the time, if your pantry's open, we'll set it up so it knows, and you'll always have this little orange button. So it's pretty rare that you'll see that not displayed. So I want to go ahead and show you a couple things in the admin section. So we'll log out of this one and show you some of the features under admin. So a couple of things to show you. So say one of your volunteers that's doing intake says, hey, I just realized I totally goofed up this person's account. Their name's spelled wrong. They have too many kids in there. Just something's wrong with it. So you do currently have to be logged in as an admin to fix it. If you do want different logins, though, that's something we can talk about one-on-one, because there is a login that's kind of in between an intake and an admin, where they're allowed to like make edits. So if that's something you're interested in, just let us know and we'll help get you set up. But for right now in this situation, we'll need to be logged in as an admin. So we're just gonna use Mickey Mouse again, or Minnie Mouse again. And let's just say, we knew we misspelt her name. So if you click on the little plus icon, and then you'll see this button that says View Household Information. You'll just want to click on that. And this will pull up the whole profile. It won't look exactly the same as when you originally put them in, but you'll see all the basics. So, you'll see first and last name, and you can go ahead and make a change. If you realize, oh, that's misspelled, you just go in and edit. If, they have too many people in here, you can change it. So here you can add or subtract people. So let's just say that there really isn't this person. You can mark them as inactive, and that would make that person fall off. But we'll just say they're supposed to be there. But yeah, if you need to add anyone, you can add people. Whatever updates you need to make, they're all right here. And there's a bunch of things we don't necessarily use too. So if you want to add a dietary restriction, you can add it there as well. And any of these assistance things. And a lot of these things didn't show when we did the initial intake, and that's because we customize it for you. So the one we showed you is like the generic, what everyone uses. And then if you want extra things included in yours, we can add that. It's all customizable. So you'll kind of see some of the other options here when you go to edit. And then, of course, the notes if you want to change anything. There's even health conditions, living situation. There's a lot of different things that we don't automatically include. And then it even talks about printing a card for them if you wanted to have like a barcode they could scan to check in, which I can show you that too. But if everything looks good and we don't need to edit anymore, we'll just click save. And that's how we would edit a household if something got goofed up during the distribution. So just mentioning that barcode. So if anyone wants to do that, totally up to you. We can, again, talk more of that one-on-one. But there's different ways to search. So that's kind of where that comes into play. You can do alternate ID, and there's actually an option to scan a barcode. So something to think about if you think that might be something you want to do. But we've been keeping it pretty generic and just searching by last name, and that seems to work really, really well. So now I want to show you how to create an event. So usually this is something we'll do with you when we initially set you up, but it is important to know how to do it. So under the little hamburger button up here, you're going to go to admin settings and then event schedules. So here you'll see, like, this is the one we're currently using for the training, but we're going to go ahead and create a new one. So here, the location, most of you will probably only have one, but if you do have a pop-up pantry and a food pantry, both will show up. So you can create an event for each one. So for this, we're just going to say we're just a regular food pantry, no other programs. So we're going to title this as just food pantry. If you're a pop-up, I recommend you put the date of the pop-up under the title. That makes it a lot easier to track it. Program location, it'll show right here. It's already filled in. If you, again, are someone that has a lot of locations, you'll see, you'll be able to select the correct one, especially if you're a pop-up pantry that travels around the county. And then the date. So since we're pretending we're a pantry, we're just going to say that we're open every single Wednesday. So because we already have an event today, we're just going to start with next Wednesday. And we'll say that we open from 9 to 3 p.m. And then you'll just need to put Eastern time in there. And I would say that reoccurring is the best for a pantry, especially because you guys mostly have pretty consistent schedules. So if we are on a recurring schedule and we have it happen every single week, we're open every Wednesday, you will get the option to select that. If you're open multiple times, you could just select, all the ones that apply. But we're just going to say that we're open every Wednesday. Now, if you're a pop-up that's once a month, you would use month. And then there's ones that are for every day. But again, I wouldn't stress out too much about this section because we will help you set this up for each program. But this looks good so far. And then what's going to ask me for that primary service. So I'm a food pantry, so I'm going to go ahead. And there's actually a couple options for food pantry. There's choice pantry if you're a pantry that offers client choice, which is most of you. And then just food pantry if you offer like a pre-boxed model. So I'm going to say we're a choice pantry, and it'll make you pick it again. So just choice pantry. The intake forms, there's actually quite a few on here. So right now we're working on updating this, but for now, I would say use the TFAP attestation form. That has the most current form at the moment until the new one comes out. Because we want to make sure we select this so the TFAP form shows up like we showed in the beginning. So this will make sure that that's on there. Additional services provided. If you're going to be offering more, and again, this is kind of case by case, but we can add other things. Like if you know you're going to be giving out clothing too, we can add that. But right now, we're just going to say we're just doing a regular food pantry. If you want to use these resources, you absolutely can. I would say at this moment, they're not super beneficial. The reason why a lot of this is here, like types of food offered, is eventually Service Insights working towards having a client-facing website where if you put all this in, clients can see the hours you're open, they can see what type of food is offered that day. If you have any eligibility guidelines, like you have to be in the school district. If you want to note that, you offer full choice, all of that gets advertised, but right now it doesn't yet. So a lot of these features don't really matter. I would just say making sure that you have, this top part filled out, your date selected, and the form filled in. Other than that, the rest of this doesn't matter until that update comes out. And once it does, we'll communicate that with you. So we're going to go ahead and click save. And then it's going to bounce you to the service dates thing. So it's actually going to show you every single Wednesday that we just put in for. So if you know you're like going on vacation, June 18th, you can mark it off so it doesn't show up as one of your pantry hours. But we're just going to say, you know what, these are probably all good. If you have a date in here you don't end up using, it's not a big deal. It's just so that way that orange button is available, these days you log in. But if it all looks good, we're going to click active and click save. So now we have active events for every Wednesday that we're open. So that's perfect. So that's how it is to create an event. So now I want to show you a little bit of the reporting pieces. So you'll see actually on the main screen some of the generic reporting. So this is just for today. We put in some fake accounts. So you can see that we have 2 households served. One's unduplicated because I think we put Minnie Mouse in there maybe twice. And then the total individuals in the household. And then it'll give you a breakdown of the age brackets. So this is very generic reporting. And then we also have, if you click on the little cheeseburger and go down to reports, essential statistics report, this is where you can pull more specific data. So say you're going to submit your stats with us for the month of April. You're going to want to go to program location. And again, if you have 2 programs, you want to select the one you want. So if you want to get your food pantry one, you'll select the one that says food pantry. And then if you want, you really don't need to fill this event schedule out because we're going to do it based on date. So as long as you have the right program location, we're going to put in start and end date of April. So it tracks every single person we served in April. And then we're going to click run report. Now it doesn't work and I get a bounce back because this is, not a real account. I could try and make, because we did put Mickey Mouse in there. Maybe it'll work. Let's see. Yeah, it's not working. So normally when you do that, this section here that says duplicated and unduplicated, there'll actually be numbers here. So it'll say number of households served, adults, seniors, children, like what you're used to reporting with us. It's all there. You are going to want to use your duplicated numbers when reporting to us through Agency Express, because that's what you've been doing now. If you do unduplicated, it could drastically change the way your numbers look, because especially if you serve clients twice a month, it'll look like you're serving less, and we want it more based on how much food is going out. So for now, you'll use duplicated numbers. So again, please make sure once you start using this, you still put your numbers in Agency Express. Down the line, we might have a way of bypassing that, but as of right now, you'd still get locked out of the shopping list if your numbers aren't in there. Pop-up pantries, you do not need to worry about that. You don't have to do any sort of submitting anymore because you don't have to worry about the whole Agency Express thing. So that's how you pull a very generic report. We will eventually submit on our training resource portal, some more in-depth reporting training if you want that, because there's a lot of different reportings in here. Tableau's built into the software, so if you want to really dig deep into some of the data, you can, but we want to make sure you can at least understand how to do the basics first. So the other thing that you'll need to know how to do is how to pull the TFAP attestation forms, especially if you get a visit from OGS. So we mentioned earlier in the training that OGS, Office of General Services, they're the ones that come and do the audits because of the USDA food. So if you happen to get picked and they come to your pantry and you need to be able to show your forms because you don't have paper ones anymore, you would click on under reports, TFAP compliance report. And then under here, they're probably going to want to just see that year. So we're going to click on, we'll say we started in January. And then we'll go to today's date, just so that way we get the range of how long we've been using it. We're going to click on Run Report, and you can basically just show them your device. This is like handing them the stack of paper that you currently have. Of course, we only have 2 things showing, but normally you'd have a much larger list of everyone you've served. So just like it is now, do not let them take any information from this. It's all private. So that's how you would pull the TFAP attestation forms. All right, so that's pretty much the basics. So that's everything you really need to know. We will be reaching out individually, getting you set up with an in-person, most likely an in-person setup. But we'll work with you individually on making sure we get you set up the way you need to be, having all the services in there, everything that you need. So thank you so much for taking this. You'll want to take the quiz afterwards, and then that way we know for sure that you've taken the training, and then we can kind of move to the next step as getting you fully implemented. Thank you so much and have a great day.